recognize Chair and Moderator for the session, Lieutenant General PJS Pannu, Senior Advisor, SIA-India and former DCIDS. And other panelists for the session is Air Commodore DPS Singh, Mr. Krishna, Chandra, Mr. Donald Chu, and Mr. Noel Ballot.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. She said last session of the day. When you come to the last, then you must remember God. Because if you don't remember God even now, then I think you are in for trouble. So on my left-hand side is Mr. Krishna. He's the name of the god, and he's actually the god of war. So that is how, according to the Indian understanding, is. Then we have Air Commodore. He was introduced differently, but he's self-propelled. His motivation is very high, so he's SP Singh. And then, of course, you have two other names, You have Mr. Ballot. I mean, if you come to a democratic country, then you know what is the power of Mr. Noel Ballot. And then the last one, of course, is the ultimate, Mr. Donald Chu. Mr. Ballot represents the Safran, and Mr. Donald represents the Rivada space. What we are going to discuss today is actually very significant to every person, man, woman, boy, girl, whoever in between. It is just so important. So before I get down to discussing the deeper part of the technology and serious things of war, I'm going to ask a very simple question, and anybody can answer. We are going to be talking about C2. C2 looks complicated because it is alphanumerical, but it is command and control. So I would want somebody to answer, please define command and control, and what is the difference between command and control. So we have the first gentleman sitting in front of me. I would say, can you describe what is command, what is control, and what is the difference between the two? Excellent. Okay, very nice, very nice. I didn't think it like that. Is there somebody else who would want to talk about command and control from the domestic point of view? Huh? So are you in control? Are you in command? Okay, the wife is in command and wife is in control. And he says, I'm commanding and I'm controlling. Is there anybody else who wants to talk about it differently? Yes, right there, of course, very experienced man. Oh, you want to, okay, excellent. So now that we have got three different perspectives, so I wanted to have a three-dimensional discussion here. And of course, we have four warriors who are going to talk about it. The first and foremost thing is that when you know that the world is not the right place to live, but we love to live in it. World is becoming more difficult. World is becoming more ambiguous. And whatever we are calling it, we are talking about the VUCA world. In VUCA world, nobody knows who's in control, but everybody wants to command. I think somebody said that very clearly. Everybody wants to command, but yet you'd never understand whether you are in control or not. So therefore, at the end of it, when the technology steps in, and you start looking at the number of things that can be controlled, and this is India Space Congress, and we know that the space is the ultimate frontier, because that is what I heard. So before that we had cyber warriors, they are the fifth frontier. Before that is the space, which is the fourth frontier. Then which is the ultimate frontier? Ultimate frontier obviously means that who can command and control both. Who can bring in synergy to both. And therefore, the 5th to 4th, and then the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, which were traditionally there, the land, air, and sea, all three put together, how can we bring the entire world, which is now looking at ambiguity and control, how do we bring our world and somebody else's world under control and domination? Is that the question that is worrying us today when the technology has kicked in? The answer is yes. So therefore, I'm going to be talking to Mr. Noel, and then I'm going to be talking to Mr. Donald. They are going to tell us, because they have come from the outer world. They have come from the outer world, and I was talking about the world. How do they look at the systems? And one by one, they can describe command and control. They can then bring it down to technology, and then say, how does their respective company do command and control through whatever means that they are, and how is that going to shape the future of humanity? So later on, I will come to Mr. Krishna. He will talk about how does he think of command and control. And whenever they go out of control, I'm going to bring in the Air Commodore S.P. Singh to tell me, I don't agree. Wherever there is a disagreement, then he will come in and he will talk about his, because he's an air warrior. He's into drones. He's advising the government of India. He's written a lot of stuff about the drones. And drones is a new element of warfare which is autonomous. This is the only system actually today we can talk about is fully autonomous. This is a system which has created a new ecosystem, new challenge. This is a system which is affordable yet very expensive. So we will then ask him, how does he look at that? So may I first request Mr. Noel, can you in 3 to 4 minutes talk about your company and whatever you think of command and control, and then after Mr. Donald. Thank you.
I'm not controlling the mic very well. So, we at Safran Space, we are in provider of equipment on board satellites, mainly LEO satellites, I would say, for typically equipment for communication and equipment for Earth observation. I'm speaking about optical payload. In that case, we are providing also the ground station to collect the data, and we are also providing space situational awareness. This is a way also to protect the space assets. This is something which is very important nowadays, because space is no longer a friendly environment. But we have to be careful about protection of the assets. The all command and control are based on accurate information for us. So it's important that you collect the data, you process the data, you transmit the data, and you check the integrity of the data. So all the relevant cybersecurity are involved, whatever on board the satellite, what about on the ground network. Because if today you don't have satellite information, whatever it's for navigation, whatever it's for observation, whatever it's for communication, you are in trouble, because the time is the essence. You need real-time information, you need accurate information, and you need to transmit the information keeping their integrity.
Thank you very much. This is how Safran has explained. I want to ask you that, is command and control, according to you, democratic or autocratic? And then your name being what it is, are you saying it is democratic?
It's influencing. I think it's autocratic more than democratic.
Okay. So I thought, I knew that you would come up with that answer. I'm going to go to the next democracy, Donald. You think democracy is autocratic or democratic, and what does your company do, and how do you work? Can you describe about how you do your business in command and control? Right. And what do you bring to the table for the space industry?
All right. First, let me introduce myself. I'm Donald Chiu, VP of Sales for Rivada Space Network. The first question, Lieutenant General Pannu mentioned, command and control. In my household, I command and control everything, but my wife controls the financials. All right. What Rivada is doing, Lieutenant General Pannu mentioned about, the outer world. In fact, could you bring up my first slide? Sorry. Excuse me. Can you bring up my first slide? I wanted to show something, and I'll answer your question shortly. Okay. Now, what's interesting is that we talk about the outer world. So in fact, what Rivada is doing is that we are putting a first global single mesh network in the sky. It is called the Alternet. I think in the previous session we talked about cybersecurity. Why people are so concerned about cybersecurity, and why is it that why Rivada called it the Alternet? We are building a network that is outside the internet. So it will never be compromised by any cybersecurity, and which I call it as cyber resiliencies. So I think forget about talking about cybersecurity, think about cyber resiliency. So Rivada is going to put something that is really highly secure. You are able to send a signal from one point to another point without touching any terrestrial, without touching any third party. So you will never be connected to any unfavorable jurisdictions. I think in the previous session, someone mentioned about the Chinese. This is exactly the kind of network that you want to be careful that you don't want to be connected to a unfavorable jurisdiction. Sorry, just the first slide, yeah. Okay. Now the other thing that the previous session also addressed about the cybersecurity. I also want to come back. Can you come back to the previous slide? Yeah. Okay. I think I want to address the cybersecurity issue as well. A lot of and the cloud question that was being asked. How is it possible to have a cloud that is protected? Imagine today, any network that is connected to Rivada, everything will be coming back to India directly. Be it whether you are in the US, be it whether you are in the Europe. All your data can come back without touching any terrestrial network, coming back to India. So basically, I answered the question, my cloud. This is exactly India, my cloud, in using a Rivada network. It is a true data sovereignty network. A lot of companies can tell you they can provide a data sovereignty. Rivada is the only one in the world that is able to provide a true data sovereignty. Meaning to say, Lieutenant General, he has an important message that sent out to all the network in the military. He can just send a message and no one can actually intercept. Because it does not touch any terrestrial, it will go to all the sites to point-to-point connectivities. Okay? Question on auto and demo, I think we are, I would think that it's really democratic, because it's really an open network, but it's highly secure. Yep.
Excellent, excellent. I think between two of you, you brought in a new word, and that word you have used, sovereignty. And when I look at sovereignty, it means independence, it means non-dependence, it means that I stand for myself, it means I don't listen to anybody, I want everybody to listen to me. And if everybody listens to me, I can command them and I can control them. But if I have to be democratic, then I have to be very carefully understanding what is the meaning of sovereignty when you're autocratic or when you are democratic. So I think sovereignty needs to be understood. I'm going to go to the god of the war, Krishna, and ask him, what does he think of his system and how does he bring sovereignty to what we are talking about? You can describe command and control your way, you can describe where you come from and where you want to go, and are you going this sovereignty way or you have another way that you have found? You are the god of the war.
That's a tough question, General Pannu. What we do, we are primarily a software-first company. So sovereignty becomes very important if it's software-defined conflict. Yeah, I'm not talking about the pieces that are part of this sovereignty. They could be, look at it from an Indian context, as opposed to some of the Western concepts. We have equipment that has been bought over a period of 50 years, artifacts as I call them, in the land, sea, air, and now you have autonomous systems, and you have space on top of it. So you fundamentally, what you're looking at is how do you command and control an arsenal that goes back 50 years. Some of it may be obsolete in nature. Some of it may be absolutely the greatest and the best today. Some of it is analog and some of it is digital. So how do we make them all work together? And some of it has come from Israel, some of it from France, some of it from the US, some of it from the former Soviet Union. It's a mishmash. The question that comes up is how do you bring them all together into a platform? And for that, the command and control of such a platform requires an architecture that is able to take all that data that comes out of it, all the data that you need to feed into it, must be in a very uniform, straightforward way. And that's complex. And that's, so I'm democratizing all the equipment, but at the same time, I'm putting a command and control that is able to control all of these various artifacts that come in.
Very interesting. I'm going to ask Air Commodore SP to talk about the systems which he made. When I say he made, it means that he knows that he owns them. Systems which he did not make, somebody else gave it to him. Systems which nobody knows where they came from, but the fact is that they have come from a known source, but they do not know where actually was the origin. So if you do not know where the origin was, or you know who the source was, and then he knows that this is what he innovated, incubated, innovated, manufactured, and used completely, how does he describe a sovereign war in this kind of a situation? And how do you bring the thoughts of these three gentlemen put together to say, I am now comfortable to fight a sovereign war?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I must tell you, command and control, General Pannu is in full control of this session. And he is obviously, as somebody said, he is in command of it. You know, last session, to make it a live session is the most difficult task. And General Pannu, with his witty sense, which I know him of, he brought life to everyone with all little jokes that he had, and everybody is paying attention. Thank you so much for giving your time. Now, when we talk about the sovereignty of war, first of all, the business of war is all about targeting. I'm going from that so that I come back to the point what is there. And targeting, accurate, timely targeting, so that we cause the desired destruction or denial of the enemy's resources to the extent that we want. Now, this is possible obviously with the weapons chosen and the source of delivery of weapon chosen correctly. But how does that source of weapon and weapon reach that target is through command and control and communication. The communication becomes the major part of it. And if your communication is secure and accurate, timely, without any waste of time, real-time communication, you achieve your task. And this is where the sovereignty matters. If you have the control over your own communication of the systems, intercommunication of all the systems, and sovereignty and control, then obviously you will win the war. Now, as Sir had mentioned, I was fortunate to be selected to chair the project by NSCS for drone policy of India. Now, when we are doing this, I am bringing out the drone because today the warfare has moved on to drone warfare and the missile warfare. That is no contact warfare most of the time. And in this no contact warfare, I want to give one example which is very recent. Ukraine, a very small nation compared to Russia, with lesser resources and not their own resources, but supported by various NATO countries and all, came out with innovative ideas. They moved a truck full of drones, 117 drones in a single truck, and moved it next to the Russian bases, which are 4,000 kilometers plus away from them. No drone could have reached there. And they parked it, and at the given time of their choosing, under plan, the roof opened, and the drones came out and struck the bombers which are standing on the nuclear bombers which are standing on the runway. Now this whole process was possible through secure communication, timely and accurate information, accurate data before launching before sending those drones there, as well as the command and control from 4,000 kilometers away. And this is all through the space communication, satellite communication. This is what I want to bring out. So that is where all the gentlemen who have brought out their capabilities here, all put together, were used to execute this. This task was unthought of. Russians were not even prepared for it. Recent example, we used quite a bit of it in the Operation Sindoor. Because of the reasons of confidentiality, I cannot say that, but the way it has been used accurately to launch our weapons, and they hit accurately, which we all know in media, it was whole hullabaloo on this. So this is the entire system where the command control OODA loop, we call it as. That is, OODA loop is observe, orientate, decide, and act. There is a huge time lag when the communications are through different channels, and if it is through faster communication, secure communication, the OODA loop time reduces, and your decision-making time comes down, your act time comes down. And this is where these resources come. So what we have procured today, we have today a mix of the Atmanirbhar, that is the self-reliant equipment that we have, which we have developed in India for the last about 10, 12 years or 15 years, and as well as what we have procured from the cross. We have these satellites of our own, we have these satellites hired, we have the on lease, all this put together with the ISR being done in time, intelligence, surveillance, and recce done in time, decision made, and weapon launched and done. So this whole thing process is the command and control which has been created. Now I just want to give you one more example of the drones. We are developing 5th generation aircraft. And very soon, another 6 to 7 years, we'll have the 5th generation aircraft, which China is way ahead of us as of now. Now, once we have the 5th generation aircraft, the capability that it is going to develop is called MUMT. That is manned, unmanned teaming. That means a single aircraft which will go there will also have the combination of drones which are going to be carried to that extent, and then thereafter, once these drones are launched, the mother aircraft, that is the 5th generation aircraft, will control them and hit the targets. Now for all this, you need again a secure communication, satellite, space-based assets will be required. So that is where all the private sector comes into play, and the development, DRDO, ISRO and all combined, they're developing it. DSA is playing a very important role in our country to this. And we need more of sovereign control. Once again, because if you don't have your own sovereign control of communication and the security, you will never be able to succeed. Because at any time, the switch can be put off by the country which you have, even with the friendly country, if they have some other distant design, they may reduce the thing. Navig system is being developed for navigation. So all these developments through the private sector in the space communication zone is very much required for the sovereign control. And that is what we are looking for, and that is what we want our country to do. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, SP. I'm going to ask Noel, you speak French.
Yes.
So you also think French. So you could be thinking differently than how the British think or the Indians think. So if you develop a system, you would develop a system through your way of thinking and your ideology. And when you're looking at the global issues and support or global commonality of stuff, then you have to make sure that you are looking at all the different ideologies, all the different way of thinking, all the different languages people speak differently, and the thinking is different and the requirements are different. If you are a global company, you would also understand just because recently we fought a war, somebody else fought a war, somebody else is fighting a war, and somebody else would fight a war, I'm talking about a military conflict. But also there are trade wars, there are technological wars, there are weather wars, there are wars of the kind that people are at conflict. Your company how does it look at the world as one problem, one solution? And how do you say all kinds of war, whether it is this or that, how would you say you can make decision making accurate?
This is a very good question because since I joined the company, which is 20 years ago, my job has been to really develop the international business. And I've been facing the different culture. I've been facing at the beginning the different culture because the goal was really to understand the different culture and to adapt. I mean, something in Japan will be different in Korea or will be different in India. And we have, as Safran, different implementations in Southeast Asia, mainly Australia, India, US, Europe. And all the mix of people has helped us understanding or having a better understanding, let's say, of a different culture. This is true that it is challenging, especially when the situation is challenging, I would say. The reactions, it's where you see the reactions according to your culture, how you have been trained, this kind of thing. We have, as much as possible, been able to develop a platform, I would say, and having the local people belonging to Safran or being partners implementing the different algorithms in order to be compliant with the legacy equipment they are using or the indigenous developed equipment, in order to not have any strange behavior, because you need to have very safety critical equipment when you are in such situation.
Very interesting. So, in a way, you are saying that your company would go to your client, whichever country he is residing, and then say, what are your problems and how your algo works, how your philosophy works, and we will make it for you. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. And
we'll make it with you.
We will make it with you. It means we will sit together, my technology and your requirement, we will put together, and we will possibly change the technology as you would want, because it will meet your requirements. Is that what you're saying? Excellent. Mr. Donald, I'm sure you have advised some companies or some countries or certain enterprises where things have gone wrong. They have either not been able to take the right decision, or they have not been able to take the timely decision, or they have not understood the situation, or by the time they understood the situation, it had changed. Do you have that experience where you have the ability to understand what has gone wrong, what is going wrong, what probably can go wrong, and then you will say, you don't have to go through all these things, I will set it right for you, and here and after everything will be sorted out, because you're also looking at the future. Do you have that kind of experience?
I do. Excuse me, can you bring my slide again? I do have a slide I prepared for that, incidentally. Very well prepared.
So don't go by his name. He knows actually everything.
Right. So I will touch about the sovereign again later, but I want to share that Rivada has actually did a press release last year with US Navy. Has signed a contract with Rivada. So I want to use this slide to explain the question that raised by General Pannu. Now, today imagine even I would use Indian Navy. You are had a global route requirements, and you're using multiple satellite technology. Now, one of the challenge that you will face today will be connecting to multiple gateway. As you can see from the slide on the bottom, yep, on my on your bottom left, they will be compromised because the data will be connected to multiple gateway, and the data could be leaked to any unfavorable jurisdictions. So imagine that when US Navy saw the solution that Rivada can put on, and that is exactly the future communication system that they want. A ultra secure, ultra low latency, so that they can actually do real-time processing of data. Because these are all LEO constellation satellite, we are able to achieve anything above 4,000 kilometers faster than fiber. Now, so what it means by this, if you look at the diagram, is that all the data for US Navy now can be channeled back to the US headquarters in the US base without going through any terrestrial. And they do not go through a very complex network. I think, I see some, military forces here. I think one of the challenges, to cut down your operational, cost, and improve your operational efficiency. By coming on board such a future communication network that we're going to put in the sky, 600 satellite, that will enable you to make sure that the data are transported securely in a very low latency and in a very fast manner, so that you can make sure that you can improve your efficiency and be able to fight the battle better.
Excellent. The speed at which you've handled a contingency, it means you would be able to get on to the situational awareness, to a shot in the OODA loop, as SP was talking about. Krishna, command and control has layers. At the bottom, you can do tactical, sub-tactical. You can come up, it can become little operational, wider, more number of elements under command, which are not there at tactical level. And then you go up to strategic level, and then you go to political level, then you go to international level, collaborative. NATO equivalent, or, because NATO is, I think, the closest military alliance that I can talk about. Or earlier it used to be different, which are not there. So I'm just using NATO as a platform where you are into international collaborative networks. And then you come down to say, politically, I want to be isolated from the larger networks, but I have ability to stitch up. And I have an ability to come down a level and become, at political strategic level, I can do this. And I have a system that I can bring it down to further come down to operational, tactical, sub-tactical level. Stitch them all up together, break them all down to make them sovereign at every level. What is your thought process, and what does your company do in this regard?
The first thing that I would say is we are agnostic to anybody's equipment, anybody's system, anybody's process. The requirement that we start out with is at the bunker level. There are a whole bunch of sensors. I should be able to integrate. I should be able to take it to the platoon level, brigade level, headquarter level. So multiple sensors and multiple sources, multiple independent systems come together. So it's a distributed command and control system. Then it can, in a specific situation, let's take the Andaman Islands. The requirement there may be only seaborne and autonomous, both on the sea, at the water level as well as on the air level. They should be able to talk to each other and should be able to have a command and control structure that goes up the ladder wherever it goes. See, the way we look at our system, it's like an iOS on an Apple computer, Apple phone. It cuts across the phone, it cuts across an iPad, it cuts across a computer. Everybody's equipment, everybody's artifact can be connected into this. And it provides a standardized method of protocols and various things that allow them to operate. They could even be a legacy equipment that it should be able to do the interfaces to be able to connect into this. That's our logic. It's a revolutionary logic, because in Indian conditions, you're dealing with multiplicity of sources of equipment, multiplicity of types of equipment, and this is very, and if we pull this together in India, this would be actually a very global standard.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited, yet very concerned. When you say anybody's system, everybody's system, whatever type of system, wherever it comes from, and I can take care of it, I can connect and work with it. Air Commodore SP, would you be comfortable with anything from anybody else's, and then you sit on it and say, I'm going to do command and control, and I will still be sovereign?
No, sir. No, sir. See, the biggest problem is that as of today, since we have not developed our own systems completely, which we can use, we are partially dependent on systems procured from different sources. There is no doubt about it. Because we have to keep in step with the technology the way it is going. We cannot be left behind because we have to fight a war. We have to be well prepared for it. And we should have the state-of-art equipment and the communication system with us. That is, there is no doubt. But then, when it comes to integration and using all of them, once we use different systems to put them together in a single chain and operate for command and control, one of them will break down that when you need it most. This is Murphy's law. Because there are large number of differences between the system. I'll give you an example of the Air Force started with the SDR, software-defined radio for secure communication. Now we had the equipment from French, we had the equipment from Russia, we had the equipment from British, and we also then got it from Americans. And till date, we are not able to achieve. Despite all the efforts, we have the SDI, software data integration, full-fledged organization, which is sitting in Bangalore, not able to achieve. The issue is this only, that when we start integrating different, everybody will match to some extent, and then some difference come, we have to go back all this.
So are you saying all command and no control?
No, sir. That is not.
Or all control and no command?
No, no. You have to have command and control. You can't have.
So what is your worry? I mean,
Sir,
you spoke like a worried man.
No,
So what's your
I'll
worry?
tell you, sir. What is because we need to have, that's it. But the system now is being developed as Atmanirbharta. Under Atmanirbharta is being developed by this. That is the best thing we'll have. We have the inventory. I'll give you an example of the Air Force only. We have the inventory, we have Rafales, we have the Su-30s, we have the, Jaguars, and we have the LC. All from different countries. LC is our own. Su-30 is from Russia, Rafale is from France, and Jaguar is from British. Now in all these four, we have to have a package going to strike a target. There will be multiple combinations of the ACARS. Jaguars will go for, let's say, strike. Rafales will go for air defense and strike. Su-30 will give pure air defense, and MiG-21, both Russian, and as well as the LCS will give the strike and multi-domain. Now, if all of them have to have the common communication system, secure communication, then each of them is talking different language. The ACARS are talking different language. Then they're talking to their own weapons. And then they're talking to radar systems, which are again, most of them are from Russia, France, and India. So there is a huge gap between all the systems. If you want to do a net-centric warfare, you have to have a common language. To reach that common language as software-defined radio is a huge task. That is what SDI is working on. So I rather have the one common system from space communication installed on all four different ACARS, and then they communicate on that. That will be the easiest path.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to actually give the last word to the three companies which are represented here. But in between, I'll go to the audience and ask them if they have any prescription, or they have any apprehensions, or they have any suggestions in whatever was being said. And then we will come down to see where each one of them can have a last word on. I see a hand there. Yeah. Can you give out your name, please?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me? I'm Commodore S.K. Pujari.
Maybe you can hold your mic closer.
Yeah. I am Chief Technology Advisor of C2C Advanced Systems. Chief Mentor and Head Strategy is Chandra. So I would like to differ slightly with respect with Commodore Singh, Commodore Singh. Indian Navy
So in a way, you are saying the Army and the Air Force should adopt the Navy way of command and control. Is that what you're saying?
No, sir. I'm saying they should adopt, they should have a system integration authority where every equipment that is procured from provision, you are very clear how it is going to get connected to your C and C infrastructure. Nothing of Navy, nothing of Air Force, nothing of Army. It's a common principle.
Okay, so it is decision during procurement. So you're talking about the supply chain has to be trustworthy. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Absolutely.
Any other question? Any suggestion? Yeah, please. I'm so happy you are in the room always, and you know you bring in a lot of new point of view.
Thank you. So my question is to Donald. So you mentioned about the network, the security and all. So my question is, as we know, the optical space communication system, they have limitations on the distance. And do you use any kind of quantum key distributions currently to make it more secure? Or how do you see that going forward? And now, can you also communicate underwater as well, either with AUVs or submarines, the lubricates that's been waterline?
So the last question is easy. No, we are not able to communicate under the water. But I'd like to answer the quantum, in fact, in the cybersecurity session earlier, there was a talk about quantum as well. Yeah, we know quantum is going to come in 5 to 10 years' time. So in the space innovation, that's what is interesting, is that Rivada, we are building a LEO constellations. Each satellite is connected to 4 other satellites via laser. Yeah, we call it inter-satellite link. Now, this means that it is very difficult to intercept the data. Why is it so secure? Because in order to intercept the data, you need to build the same constellations to move around the Earth in order to intercept the data. Now, yes, quantum, when they're matured and they come into the satellite space, it will be able to hack the system. A lot of people may not be aware. Yes, quantum will hack the system. But there is also a parallel development going on at the same time, QKD, whereby you can actually launch a satellite into the space. I think it's okay. Still can hear me, right? Yeah, you can launch a satellite into the space, and they will deliver the quantum key to the satellite. So they will then, therefore, not be able to intercept the quantum will not be able to intercept the data because you are able to deliver random key to the satellite. So this is, Rivada has also worked with a company in Singapore. The company is called Spectra. If you need any information on the Spectra, I can share with you. It's a very interesting concept of launching a satellite that delivers quantum key randomly.
That's very, very. Yes, please.
If we look at today's scenario of technology and the way systems are evolving, there has to be a disparity in the sensors because as we move forward, we'll get new technologies. And even if we assume a life cycle of 5 to 8 years, there will be at least 2 to 3 waves of technology, the way it is progressing. And when I say technologies at the sensor layers, technologies at the shooter layer, and the technologies at the C2 layer. So the only way to stitch all three together is that we should have a visibility with respect to the way data is reaching the C2 command and control systems, and the data is reaching back to shooters. So the only way to stitch all three together is that we got to understand the protocols and the bit streams. So going a step further than what we discussed earlier, so whenever we are going for a system, new systems, as a part of our initial procurement process per se, we should cater for integration with the C2, no matter what is the C2. So as a part of our specification, it should be there so that interoperability with a single C2 with multiple sensors and multiple shooters is there, ensured at the procurement stage itself. That's my point number 1. Point number 2, if we really want to bring down the OODA loop, shorten the outer loop, and we want to have precision strikes, we have to go beyond the present C2 systems of looking. AI plugins is a necessity today. And if we want to go for AI, how do we train our defense C2 systems with the data? We need data. And third, most important, cybersecurity has to be there on day 1. It cannot be an overlay.
I'm trying to figure out in what you're saying is that if you procure anything, it should meet the requirement of interface. So interface cannot have two variables, it has to be one fixed, one variable. It means one is known, one is unknown. So if you have to plug in something, you should know where is that you're going to plug in and bring that kind of a plug to plug in. But if you don't know what kind of a system do you have where I plug in, so you will keep saying this, no, it doesn't plug in. So I think somewhere you have to declare a fixed so that the variables can change according to your fixed and becomes too fixed that this is acceptable, this is not acceptable. So how are we going to work towards getting the product which is acceptable to and conforms to acceptability? I think that has been the catch, that you say, okay, I have got a product, but you say, no, it doesn't conform to my requirement because you are not in the standard that I want. But then without declaring a standard, you want a standard. So how is, if anybody in the room can simplify this to say, how are we going to make sure that the variable, it doesn't remain variable at some point, you know, these are the standards and this is how we need it, and all those people who conform to that standard are accepted, all those who don't conform to the standard are not accepted. Anybody? Yeah. Okay, sorry.
Just
sorry.
one small point I want to bring up. This at the procurement stage. I just want to give example. Jaguars were procured in 1984. Mirages were procured in 1986. There are a large number of Air Force radars, air defense radars, which are procured in that era. Today, all of them have been integrated with a single system, IACCS, Integrated Air Command Control System. Obviously, there have been a lot of difficulties, but the procurement stage at that in 1984, it was not envisaged that we'll go into net-centric warfare in 2025. So we can't go back to that. In fact, to the extent the British have shut shop for Jaguars, there is no more Jaguars being produced there. They don't even have the OEM itself doesn't exist now. So there are difficulties. We are still flying those aircraft, so it will take time. However, yes, the point is absolutely valid. At procurement stage, IPR should be talked about, and then, but it is not only question of IPR on certain issues. There are a whole lot of other issues, considerations for procurement of a particular weapon system. Like we procure now Chinooks, and we have procured the different types of helicopters. In helicopters itself, we have today about 12 different types of helicopter operating in Leh sector. So there are difficulties. We procure different equipment for different reasons. There are financial consideration. There are consideration of the relation with those countries and a whole lot of things. Yes, definitely a point is valid. It should be done. There are ideal conditions. It may not be ideal at every time.
One sec, we have limitation of time. Though you can have many private conversations later, but just we have 5 more minutes. So I will request, keep it short, keep it direct, make a question, and then let's have more number of questions being answered. Yeah, somebody was raising a hand, yeah. No, okay, first, okay.
Variables and things, how do they match our requirements? It is not that complex. A weapon is always given to you to operate, to begin with, in what is called as autonomous mode. The weapon will work in autonomous mode, and when they are selling the weapon to you, they will give you all the command and control that is required to be there for the weapon in autonomous mode. If it requires a radar interface, it will give you that, or it will ask for it. All you need to do is to extend it to C2C interface. That's it. And all OEMs are willing to do it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for this. Yes, please.
How to connect up, make sure that the back-end connectivity and the forward connectivity over time is taken care of. A small this thing Mr. Krishna would know very clearly, there is something called SCA, which was defined by the US and NATO when they went in for the SDR development. Now that put the framework under which anything and everything you make in this particular pipeline of communications will have to follow this standard. Now that was for NATO. For you to develop such a SCA sort of a model, so SCA is a software communication architecture, and that is what defined the SDR. Similarly, for all our things that we develop in for India, why can't we set it at a common base?
Yeah,
And
I
it has
knew
been-
that I would
sir,
go to
sir,
you.
It has been done. It has been done. I was part of that study 4 years back.
Excellent.
The paper is ready, but not yet seen the light.
Thank you,
of day.
thank you, Rajiva. Please, can you clarify this?
If we need to fit into the global market, you need to adopt the global standards of mil-specs and Stanagar, whatever things are there. Japan, a close country in the military, opened up on this account. Turkey wants to become the top 10 exporting country because of this. You adopt those global standards, have for your own little bit additional thing that these are the 5 additional thing I require for my own. Otherwise, all your industry would be only India-centric. They will not get any business outside. So therefore, you need to have a global standard plus something more for yourself. And this is what the communication IRSA standards are coming up, which is at the release stage now, Indian radio standards by DRDO, which is overdue. It was supposed to come
Excellent.
back long time back. So therefore, also things are not so bad that we don't understand, we don't make system talk to each other. By nature, Indian, we make khichdi. Khichdi caters for all the contingency, all the tests. This is your beauty.
Thank you very much. So, global standards for Indian acceptability. I think we have simply run out of time, and I'm going to go to the left to have the representatives of companies the last word. So, please.
My email address is dchu@rivadaspace.com. Thank you.
That's total command.
I'm definitely available to fulfill any requirement you have. And again, it's always a pleasure to participate in a convention like we are today.
Thank you very much. God of War,
I
your last
have
word.
a few points, if you don't mind. I think if India needs to be a global player, standards have to be adopted globally from the global system, tweak it to Indian requirements. All procurement takes place according to those rules. Number 2, I think we should encourage vendors from foreign countries who have made technological advances to work with India to indigenize some products and actually use India to export some of there. And the third thing, change your mindset. If something doesn't work and you bought it at a point in time, it doesn't work, get rid of it. Why are we carrying on something which should not be there in the system, which doesn't work? If C2 is important, if it's not important, that's fine.
Thank you very much. Your last word was like saying, get rid of redundancies and don't be emotional with obsolescence. And then adopt something which is trustworthy, change if it not so. And keep improving. You will have better command and control for the future.
You'll be a big exporter.
And of course, you will be a big one. Thank you very much. So I was talking about the companies. In any case, you are a good company. So we wish you all the best and thank you very much. Your companies are doing a great job, and I'm sure we will look for better collaboration in India and beyond. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Jai Hind.
Before we end the session, I would like to take a moment to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the dignitaries on the dais. Thank you for gracing us. As a token of gratitude and appreciation, we now present mementos to our eminent panelists. May I now request Lieutenant General PJS Pannu to present memento to Air Commodore SP Singh. Mr. Krishna. Mr. Donald Chu. And to Noel Ballot. Please move forward for the group photo. It's a request to the audience, please join us in the Sovereign Hall 1 for the closing plenary.